Okay, so in the last video, we solved by algebra. In this video, we're going to solve graphically. So let's do an absolute value equation that looks like this. Let's just do something really simple. Okay, so what you're going to do, and this is going to seem a little weird if you've never done it before, is you're going to kind of separate it. Okay, so you are going to graph the left-hand side and the right-hand side. So we're going to turn this into y equals the absolute value of x minus 2, and y is equal to 5. So we're going to have two equations. Okay, let's take a look. Now, most folks, honestly, would not choose to solve it like this, okay? But it is an option. Okay, so if I were to graph y equals x minus 2 absolute value, it would look like this. Okay, again, when you solve by graphing, you want to be as neat as you can. If you're not a very neat grapher, you can always use Desmos or another graphing calculator application. If you are lucky enough to have a graphing calculator, you can do that. Oops. A little bit beyond what I wanted to. Oops. Okay, so there's my first graph. There's the absolute value graph. And now I'm going to graph y equals 5. Okay, so since we're looking for kind of between, so x is less than, notice that these two graphs cross each other at, let's see, that is 1, 2, 3, negative 3. And let's see, 2, 4, 6, 7. Okay, so we want x minus 2, the absolute value, to be less than the 5. So we were looking for the place where the absolute value graph is below the y equals 5, which happens here. Okay, so that happens between negative 3 and 7. So my answer would be or like that in interval notation. Okay, so not too bad. Okay, let's try another one. Now notice that I had the absolute value on the left and then the numerics on the right. So I want to keep that. Okay, so let's do something a little bit more complicated. Like that, just a little bit. Okay, so first thing I want to do is I want to make sure that my absolute value is isolated by itself on the left and my numerics are on the right. So I'm going to divide by a negative 2. When you divide by a negative, you want to make sure that you are switching your inequality around. So we have negative 8. Okay, so this is going to be a fairly interesting graph. Okay, so let's take a look. Again, you have your y is equal to x plus 4 absolute value, and then y is equal to negative 8. Okay. Let's move that up a bit. There we go. Okay, so let's see here. So my absolute value graph, very simply, is going to look like this. Okay. All right, there's my absolute value graph. And now I need to graph -8. Okay, so according to my inequality, I'm looking for the places where the absolute value of x plus 4 is greater than or equal to -8, which means above, right? So the absolute value graph, which is right here, is always above the graph of y equals -8. So this has all real numbers as a solution, because the absolute value graph will always be above -8 because it's absolute value, right? So the solution to this is all real numbers, or -infinity to positive infinity. Okay? All right, so that was an interesting one. So again, you do have more than one way to solve. Now, sometimes the graph, it's easier to see what's going on than the algebra. Okay, so pick which way works best for you. And thank you for watching, and I hope this is helping you guys out.